Welcome back to the Weekly Education Pulse. I'm Sami.
I'm Tony. Each week we take a step back from the noise and look at the developments that are quietly reshaping the international and independent school sector.
Yeah, this week's stories span 5 very different contexts: government reform in Bahrain, a major real estate partnership in Dubai, philanthropic investment in a UK prep school, Finnish early years expansion in Vietnam, and a parent-led school rescue in Wales.
On the surface, they may not seem connected, but look a little closer and they all point to the same theme: who controls the future of education and how that future is being financed, structured, and governed.
From public policy to private capital, from global operators to local parents, education continues to evolve through a mix of ambition, strategy, and sometimes necessity.
So let's get into the first story.
Yeah, thanks, Tony. And our first story takes us to Bahrain, where the government has announced plans to introduce the International Baccalaureate program into state schools beginning in 2026. And this is a significant policy move. The IB has traditionally been associated with private and international schools, but here we're seeing it embedded directly into the public education system.
And that shift matters. When a government adopts IB within its national framework, it's not simply adding another qualification, it's signalling an intention to align more closely with globally recognised academic standards and university pathways.
Yeah, the IB diploma program in particular is widely respected for its academic rigor, interdisciplinary structure, and emphasis on critical thinking, research, and international mindedness. So bringing that into government schools suggests a deliberate effort to expand access beyond the private sector.
It also changes the competitive dynamic. If elements of the IB become available within a state school, families who might previously have chosen private international education for that pathway may start to reconsider their options.
Yeah, and more broadly, this reflects a pattern we're seeing across parts of the Gulf. Governments are no longer treating international curricula as parallel systems. Instead, they're selectively integrating them into national reform agendas.
For Bahrain, this could strengthen the country's positioning as a regional education hub, particularly if implementation is phased carefully and supported with teacher training and curriculum alignment.
Yeah, and for the wider international school sector, it raises an interesting question. As globally recognized programs become embedded in public systems, what becomes a differentiator for private international schools? So that tension between access, exclusivity, and quality may shape the next phase of competition.
Our second story this week takes us to the UAE, where Dubai Holding and Anglia Education have announced a major partnership to develop new premium K-12 schools across the Emirate.
Yeah, under the agreement, Dubai Holding Asset Management will develop bespoke school campuses, while Anglia Education will operate them. The first school is planned for Dubai Production City, subject to KHDA approval, and will offer a British curriculum. It is expected to serve families in surrounding communities such as Jumeirah Gulf Estates, Emirates Living, and also Tilal Al Ghaf.
It's not simply a single campus announcement. The partnership sets out a long-term plan to introduce additional North Anglia schools across other Dubai Holding master planned communities.
Yeah, what makes this significant is the structure. Dubai Holdings brings the land bank and real estate development capability, whereas North Anglia brings an established global school operating model, including access to its global campus platform connecting more than 100,000 students worldwide.
The move also aligns closely with the Dubai Economic Agenda and the Dubai Education Strategy 2033, both of which aim to strengthen Dubai's position as a global knowledge and talent hub.
Yeah, North Anglia actually already operates 2 well-established schools in Dubai, being the North Anglia International School Dubai and the Swiss International Scientific School, both recognized for strong IB, A-level, and GCSE outcomes. So the new development suggests confidence in continued demand at the premium end of the market.
It also reflects a broader trend we're seeing in the Gulf: real estate developers integrating high-quality education into large-scale residential communities as a central part of their value proposition.
For families, this means more choice within established communities. For the market, it reinforces Dubai's trajectory as one of the most competitive and globally connected international school ecosystems in the world. And our next story now, we're heading to the UK, to Norfolk, where Gresham School has begun construction of a major £40 million redevelopment of its prep school, funded by alumnus Sir James Dyson.
The new site, known as the Dyson campus, will open in September 2027 and will relocate the current prep school to the historic Holt Hall estate. The setting is a striking 86 acres of woodland and lakes, but this is far more than a change of scenery.
Yeah, the development blends restoration and innovation so that the Grade 2 listed Victorian Holt Hall will be carefully restored and positioned at the heart of the campus, while a new mirrored extension inspired by Dyson's D9 research facility in Wiltshire will sit alongside it, designed to reflect the surrounding woodland.
Academically, the focus is clear. The campus will feature dedicated STEAM laboratories and modern classrooms, specialist music centre, expanded sports provision, including rugby, cricket, athletics facilities, and a new sport pavilion.
Yes, sustainability is also central to the design. Solar panels, a ground source heat pump for low carbon heating and cooling, natural ventilation systems, recycled rainwater irrigation, all form part of the infrastructure.
And one detail that stands out is the deliberate use of local contractors. Gresham has appointed a range of Norfolk-based firms, from architects and engineers to landscape specialists, ensuring that the 40 million investment supports the regional economy.
Yeah, and at a time when parts of the UK independent sector, are facing policy and financial headwinds, this project reflects something important. Established schools with strong alumni networks are continuing to invest heavily in facilities, identity, and long-term positioning.
In many ways, it mirrors a global trend. Campus quality is no longer just about prestige. It's part of the competitive equation, shaping parental perception, student experience, and institutional sustainability.
So for Gresham's, the Dyson campus is not simply a new building, it's a statement about ambition, heritage, and the role of environment in shaping education for the next generation.
Our fourth story this week takes us to the north of Vietnam, where the Finnish early years provider HEI Schools has signed an agreement to develop what will become its largest campus in Southeast Asia.
Yes, the new preschool will open in Thanh Nguyen province in July 2027 in a partnership with Vietnamese investment group STH Holdings, and is designed to serve up to 500 children aged 1 to 6.
HEI schools are known for exporting Finland's play-based, child-centered early learning education model, developed in collaboration with the University of Helsinki. The focus is on well-being, creativity, inquiry-based learning, and holistic development, rather than early academic acceleration.
Yeah, this project builds on STH Holdings' recent launch of Sigma International Bilingual School in Thanh Nguyen, and the partnership was formally marked during that school's inauguration ceremony, attended by local authorities and representatives from the Finnish embassy.
The scale here is notable. A 500-place early years campus is a substantial investment for a provincial Vietnamese city and reflects a growing demand outside traditional hubs like Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh City.
Yeah, the campus will be purpose-built, drawing on Nordic design principles with generous indoor and outdoor learning spaces. It will operate bilingually, combining Vietnamese education requirements with international best practice.
This also reflects something broader. Finnish education continues to carry strong brand equity internationally, particularly in early childhood education. HEI schools now operate in more than 15 countries, and Southeast Asia has become a key growth area.
Yeah, for Vietnam, the development aligns with national priorities around innovation and quality improvement in early education. And for HEI schools, it represents scale and deeper institutional collaboration in the region.
More widely, it highlights how early years provision is increasingly seen as a strategic entry point for international education brands expanding into emerging markets.
And that takes us to our final story this week, where we're going to Wales, where a closed independent school is set to reopen after an unusual intervention from its own community.
That's right. St Clair's School in Porthcawl, which closed at the end of last term, will reopen in September on a new name, St Clair House School, after parents and supporters secured a lease to the site.
Yeah, rather than allowing the school to disappear, a board formed and run by parents negotiated the transfer of a 106-year lease from the previous operator, Cognita. The transaction secures the site's long-term future and preserves nearly 9 decades of educational history in South Wales.
What began as an emergency fundraising effort, reportedly raising more than £1 million, evolved into a full lease buyout. The purchase price has not been disclosed, but the outcome is clear. The school will reopen under independent governance.
Yeah, leadership will be provided by Sally Davies, formerly head teacher of Hull School in Llandaff, who has been appointed executive head.
Now, this story reflects a wider tension we are seeing in parts of the UK independent sector. Rising costs, regulatory shifts, competitive pressure are all forcing structural change. But in some cases, local communities are stepping in rather than accepting these closures.
And it also raises an interesting question about governance models. Parent-led boards are not common in the independent sector at this scale, and the success of Clare House School will be closely watched.
In contrast to the multi-billion-dollar global education groups we often discuss, this is education at a very different scale, driven by community, legacy, and local identity.
Yeah, and together this week's stories, from government-led curriculum expansion to global operator partnerships to philanthropic campus investment to community-led rescue, it just shows how diverse the international and independent schools landscape has become.
Yeah, and that brings us to the end of this week's episode.
Yeah, what stands out across these stories is the diversity of forces shaping education right now. Like I just said, about governments introducing international programs, developers embedding schools into residential master plans, alumni investing millions into campus transformation, and early years brands scaling across Southeast Asia, and then finally parents stepping in to preserve local institutions.
Education's not moving in a single direction. It's being shaped simultaneously by policy, capital, community, and global demand.
And as always, that's what makes this sector so dynamic and so fascinating to follow.
If there's a development in your area that you think we should be covering, do get in touch.
Yeah, we'll be back next week. So thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time.